Alright folks, welcome back. And let's talk about something that's both terrifying and fascinating: ancient weapons. We're talking about a time when warfare was up close and personal, where you looked your enemy in the eye right before you caved his chest in with a rock on a stick. Empires carved out in history were often the result of strategic planning, political ingenuity, and the most sophisticated warfare of their time. We're talking about weapons designed to maim, dismember, and just straight up obliterate the enemy. So buckle up, because we're about to dive into a world of blades, blunt force, and sheer brutality as we explore the top 15 deadliest ancient weapons. We're talking weapons that were so effective, so terrifying, they left their mark on history. Get ready to have your minds blown. First up, we've got the Roman Scissor. This thing looks like it came straight out of a science fiction movie, but it was the weapon of choice for a specific type of gladiator, the scissor. The scissor was all about defense and delivering that one devastating blow. That long tube protected the gladiator's arm, and at the end, bam! A long, thin blade, almost like a giant can opener, ready to pierce through armor and flesh. The Roman Scissor is a perfect example of how ancient weaponry could be both practical and terrifying. It was a weapon designed to shock, awe, and ultimately conquer. Next up, we're heading to Japan, the land of the samurai and the ninja, with the iconic Shuriken, better known as the ninja star. The Shuriken was primarily a distraction weapon thrown to disorient and confuse the enemy. Imagine you're a samurai walking down a dark alleyway, and suddenly these sharp metal stars come flying out of the shadows. They came in all shapes and sizes with different numbers of points, but the most common one you see is the Hira Shuriken, the classic star shape. These things were small, easily concealable, and could be coated with poison for an extra nasty surprise. Sometimes a little bit of stealth and precision can be far more deadly. Now, let's travel to ancient India, where they took inspiration for weaponry from nature itself with the Bagh Nakh, which translates to tiger claws. Imagine this. A warrior steps onto the battlefield, his hands adorned with these wicked claws, each one designed to tear through flesh and bone. The Bagh Nakh was all about close-quarters combat, using those curved blades to slash, rip, and disembowel opponents. It was a terrifying weapon, both offensively and defensively. It represented the warrior's connection to the animal kingdom, channeling the raw, primal aggression of a tiger in battle. Sticking with India, we've got another unique weapon, the Madu, also known as the Maru. The Madu was essentially a pair of black buck horns, sharpened to a deadly point and mounted on a handle. Imagine two warriors charging at each other, one with a sword, the other with the Madu. The Madu was all about leverage and taking your opponent by surprise. It was a weapon that could disarm, disable, and ultimately defeat an enemy with brutal efficiency. Instead of a physical weapon, we're talking about an elite fighting force, the Hypaspist, the backbone of Alexander the Great's army. These guys were the Navy SEALs of their time, and they were highly trained warriors known for their strength, agility, and unwavering courage in the heat of battle. They were armed with spears, swords, and those iconic round shields, which they used not just for defense but also for offense, bashing opponents aside and creating openings for their comrades to exploit. The Hypaspists were instrumental in Alexander's conquests, playing a pivotal role in battles like Granicus River and Issus. They were the tip of the spear, the elite force that broke enemy lines and paved the way for victory. Next, we're heading to ancient China, where they had some seriously innovative weaponry, like the Zhua, which literally translates to claw. Imagine a weapon that looks like a giant metal hand, with sharp curved blades for fingers. The Zhua was used to disarm opponents, hooking onto shields or weapons and ripping them away, leaving the enemy vulnerable to attack. It could also be used to inflict serious damage, tearing through armor and flesh with ease. The Zhua is a testament to the ingenuity and ruthlessness of ancient Chinese warfare. It was a weapon designed to exploit weaknesses and deliver brutal fight-ending strikes. Now we're heading to the Horn of Africa, to the ancient kingdom of Abyssinia, present-day Ethiopia, where they had a sword so unique, so deadly, it became synonymous with their warriors, the Shotel. The Shotel was a curved sword, but not like your typical scimitar. This thing had a deep, almost sickle-like curve, designed for one purpose: to bypass shields and deliver devastating thrusting attacks. The Shotel was a weapon that required skill and precision to use effectively. But in the hands of a master, it was a force to be reckoned with. It was a symbol of Abyssinian military might, feared throughout the region for its lethality. Let's journey to the land of pharaohs and pyramids, ancient Egypt, where they had a particular fondness for bladed weaponry. The Khopesh was a sickle-shaped sword with a thick curved blade designed for both slashing and thrusting. It was a versatile weapon used by both infantry and charioteers in battle. The Khopesh was more than just a weapon, it was a symbol of power and authority. Pharaohs were often depicted holding the Khopesh, signifying their role as protectors of Egypt. It was a weapon fit for a king, capable of delivering swift and decisive justice. All right, let's head back to ancient Greece, and this time we're talking about the Spartans, those legendary warriors, known for their discipline, their bravery, and of course their iconic shields, the Hoplon. Now you might be thinking, a shield? That's not a weapon. But you'd be wrong, my friend. The Spartan Hoplon was so much more than just a defensive tool, it was an offensive weapon in its own right. The Spartans didn't just use it to block attacks, they used it to push, to bash, to create openings for their comrades to exploit. The Spartan Hoplon was a symbol of their unity, their discipline, and their unwavering courage in the face of overwhelming odds. Let's talk about a weapon that has been striking fear into the hearts of men for centuries, the flaming arrow. It's a simple concept really, but incredibly effective and downright terrifying to witness firsthand. Flaming arrows have been used for centuries, dating back to ancient civilizations like the Romans, Assyrians, and Judeans. It's a basic idea. Take an arrow, dip it in something flammable, light it up, and let it fly. Flaming arrows could be used to target specific areas, like siege engines or enemy supplies, causing chaos and confusion in the ranks. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest ideas can be the most effective and the most terrifying on the battlefield. Now we are heading back to Japan, where they had a knack for turning everyday objects into deadly weapons. Case in point, the Kakute, a spiked ring designed to turn your hand into a weapon of destruction. These rings were made of iron with sharp spikes protruding from them. Warriors would wear one or two, typically on their index or middle finger and thumb, turning their punches into deadly blows. It was a weapon that relied on both strength and technique, turning the wearer's hand into a spiked weapon of destruction. Let's journey now to the battlefields of Renaissance Europe, where size definitely mattered, especially when it came to swords. And no sword embodied this philosophy better than the Zweihander, the two-hander, a sword so massive it took two hands to wield it effectively. These swords were over 70 inches long, weighing anywhere from 3 to 14 pounds. They were primarily used by German and Swiss infantry to break enemy pike formations, creating openings for their comrades to exploit. The Zweihander was a weapon of brute force and intimidation. It was a symbol of strength, power, and the sheer destructive potential of the battlefield. Let's venture back to India, to the land of the Rajputs, fierce warriors known for their courage, their honor, and their deadly arsenal of weapons. And among their arsenal, one weapon stands out for its unique design and lethality, the Haladie. The Haladie was a weapon of incredible speed and agility. With a blade on each end, it allowed for lightning-fast strikes, making it difficult for opponents to block or counter. It was a weapon that embodied their courage, their skill, and their unwavering determination in the face of adversity. Let's travel back in time now to the Stone Age, where humans were just beginning to develop tools and weapons for hunting and warfare. And one of the most ingenious and effective weapons they created was the Atlatl, a spear-throwing tool that predates the bow and arrow. The Atlatl essentially acted as an extension of the arm, increasing the leverage and velocity of the throw. It allowed hunters and warriors to launch spears with greater force and distance than ever before, making it a formidable weapon for both hunting and warfare. It was a weapon that allowed them to survive and thrive in a hostile world, paving the way for the development of more advanced projectile weapons like the bow and arrow. For our final weapon, we're heading back to ancient China, where they seem to have a knack for inventing things that went boom. And nothing exemplifies this more than the fire lance, a weapon that was essentially the precursor to the modern flamethrower. The fire lance was essentially a long tube filled with gunpowder and projectiles attached to a spear or pole. When ignited, it would launch a stream of fire and shrapnel towards the enemy, causing chaos and destruction in its wake. The fire lance was a terrifying weapon to behold, both for its destructive power and its psychological impact. It was a weapon that changed the face of warfare, paving the way for the development of more advanced firearms and explosives. So, there you have it, folks, the top 15 deadliest ancient weapons. From the brutal simplicity of the Roman Scissor to the awe-inspiring power of the fire lance, these weapons represent the ingenuity, the brutality, and the constant quest for an edge in warfare that has driven humanity for centuries. Weapons from the ancient world were nasty, brutal, and ruthless. It's a sobering reminder that even in the ancient world, humans were capable of creating incredibly deadly and sophisticated weapons. So the next time you're feeling stressed out about modern problems, just remember, at least you're not facing down a Spartan phalanx or a charging horde of fire lance-wielding warriors.